Alrighty, we are live, and Mr. Sinicola made it just in the nick of time. did you find out?
For some reason, I was logged out of Chrome, and I never shut Chrome off. So hey.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you got it figured out just in time. So because we're going to have a good show tonight. Welcome everybody. We're going to have a pretty good show, I think. We got Mr. Ryan Ballard, the local Raspberry Pi expert, and he has sent me. Whoops, we just lost him there for a second. Okay, he's going to be talking about the Raspberry Pi and how to use it controlling a CNC machine. So I was saying the other day, it seems like it wasn't that long ago I had you on, but when I went back and looked at that other video when you were on before, Ryan, that was like, I think August of last year. So it's been well over a year. So wow. I'm pretty sure you're probably a lot smarter now than you were then. So
I'll pretend that I.
Yeah, just pretend. Yeah, we can. I do all the time. You know, that's how I do. So anyway, looking forward to tonight's show. Man, we've already got a bunch of folks over there. We got Stephen Penn, Matt, Awesome Wood Things Haas is in the house, aka the Piano Man. Rick Palicki, Steve Atkins. Looks like we got Javi in the house. Frankie CNC, Harry's Place, bunch of folks. Got Hitch Hamilton. Yeah, everybody's wanting some Raspberry Pi. So anyway, thank you all for tuning in. We got a lot to cover tonight, so I'm going to try to get right into it. But just if you're new to this channel, you've never watched this before, you know, we talk about pretty much all things hobby CNC. And some of the stuff is, you know, it depends. Sometimes it's specific to the Gatton CNC and GarageWorks CNC, which are the machines that I offer. Or sometimes it's stuff that can apply to pretty much any CNC when we talk about Mach 3 and UC CNC and whatever, in this case, Raspberry Pi. So anyway, I've got to hit my little buttons over here. So I don't forget those. So anyway, so if you got any questions as we go along, feel free to put them in the chat here. I'll be checking the chat out periodically over here to make sure we try and get everybody's questions answered. Yeah, everybody's making the pie joke. So there's no pie. All right. But first, I wanted to, you know, I haven't mentioned it much lately, but we had going on up until yesterday, if I can find it here, the Ridiculous Stepper Motor Knob Challenge. You can find a link to the playlist in the YouTube show description here. But I thought what I would do, I'm going to announce the winner tonight. And it's $100 winner take all deal. So they'll either get a gift card or Visa card or something like that. But I thought I would real quickly go through and show the folks. We only had 6 entries. Let me go ahead and do this. This is the first entry I got. This one was by, and if you haven't watched these videos, I would encourage you to go check out that playlist because some of these are really hilarious. This one cracked me up. This was the first one I got. This was from Mike Haichu, one of 3 videos that he did on the Stepper Motor Knob Challenge. So this one had a snowman as the Z-axis goes up and down, the hat spins around, And of course, he also can, with the machine turned off, he can turn the hat and it will manually raise and lower the Z. So that one was just hilarious the way he made the video. This one is a 3D printed thing by Harry Vaughn Sr. And I've only got this one picture, but it's a little pistol here, and it says "Make My Day." That was 3D printed around there. So that set on top of the Z-axis as a knob as well. Then this one's going to be a little hard to see, but this is from Jerry Coleman, and it's a crank. And somehow, I don't know how this works, by just some kind of little generator or something, but this light here, it almost looks like lightning inside that little bulb there as he cranks it. So, you know, when the Z-axis is going up, that's spinning around and putting on a little light show there. So, let's see, who else we got? We've got, this one was an interesting one. This is another 3D printed thing from Jerry Brown, also known on Facebook as Jeremiah Brown, and also known as Polly Wants a Crafter. And you can't really see it, I don't think, from this picture. I'll see if I can zoom in a little bit.
Looks like a koozie.
But it's a knob here, and what it says here, it says Gattonier's beverage holder.
Ah.
So that's pretty cool right there. So thank you, Jerry, for participating in the challenge here. And then here are two more from Mike Haichu. This is the second one he did. And he has this little guy here screwed on, and you can see it looks blurry here, and that's because I'm doing like a screenshot capture of the video. But this is a gear, and then it also meshes with a gear up here on the knob. So as the Z-axis goes up and down, it looks like he's cranking it up and down. So with that little arm attached there. So that was pretty cool. And then again, he came up with a third entry, and this time he went all out with a Ferris wheel. And again, I only got the one picture here. You can see the Z-box down here. He's got this all in front of it, and then he's got two gears that mesh. I guess he's got a gear on the little shaft of the stepper motor, and then it meshes with this other gear right here, and that turns the Ferris wheel. So anyway, I wanted to show them. I'll be announcing who the winner is at the end of the show. But if you've got a favorite, feel free to put your favorite one in the chat, and we'll see what the audience thinks here. So let's see what else I got going on here. That button isn't working, looking like. Okay. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, so we're going to talk about the Raspberry Pi. And like I said, I know this is going to be a busy night, so we're going to go ahead and get right started on it. I'll just check the chat for any questions.
Nothing so far.
Yeah, let's see. We got Oshawa, I guess. I'm not sure how you say that. We got Matt's here. Matt Gill's here. We got the Patricks in the house. David Roby. Let's see. There's another Patrick. All right. So through a rock through a side window and a minivan had to take it up. All right. So let me get started here. Ryan was nice enough to create a little PowerPoint thing. So I'll be getting that on here, and we'll start talking about Ryan Ballard's setup, the Raspberry Pi, and the whole deal. So just here we go. This is his first picture. So Ryan, take it away. tell us what we need to know here.
Yeah. So this is my setup. This is my Gatton. I went as inexpensively as possible with my build, and that also included going with one sheet of plywood instead of two for my table and parts. So I designed my table around that, which still gives me a really big table. The table size itself is like 43 by 69.5 inches wide or long. And so it gives me, as it shows there, like 42 by 55 cutting area, which is plenty for anything that I'm cutting. You can kind of see my wonderful spoil board that it doesn't look like I've even used the back half of it. So there's
a lot of machines that look just like that. The back is nice and pristine.
Yeah, so it's a plenty big enough for anything that I'm cutting on it. It does a good job. Right now, it's only, like it shows, only 4 inches off the floor, and that's because I'm building my shop, and I figured it'd be easier to move a shorter machine than a big giant table and all that stuff. So once I get over into my shop, then I'll build a proper table for it.
That's pretty smart, I think, doing it that way, because if you'd have built the whole big thing and had it all attached, then you got something a lot heavier to roll down to your shop.
Yeah. Well, and you can also see my custom wiring.
Yeah, I've seen that before. That's
it works out pretty well though. So far it's been doing a pretty good job. There are some things that I would like to do to it, and that'll be on the next slide.
Okay. All right. Anybody before I go to the next frame, anybody have any questions about his build or anything?
No questions, but I have a request for him to get a little closer to the mic. His volume's a little low.
Oh yeah. I wish one of the things I'm hoping they add in StreamYard is the host's ability to
control raise
or lower somebody's volume. Right now they don't have that. So
gotcha. I'll make sure I talk louder.
Yeah, just holler a little bit, Ryan. Pretend we're one of your kids or something.
Yeah. Then you won't listen to me.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, let me move on to the next slide then. If I can. Here we go.
Yeah. So here's some of the stuff that I do want to change about my build that I have right now. Of course, when I get over to the shop, I'm going to make it a normal table height. Right now, with it being 4 inches off the ground, it's actually really convenient for cleaning because I can just walk on it and just sweep it off with the broom. But it will be nice to have it actually at a normal height. I'm also planning to do some T-tracks on it with a PVC spoil board instead of doing MDF. I thought, being outside in an unconditioned space, the PVC will be a little more stable and won't swell up with the humidity. Also, we're going to pew it at some point. I don't know which laser I'll end up with. Probably the Ox one, just because I'm a cheapo. And we'll do that. Some drag chains. And also, I was thinking about extending the front end of mine by about 4 inches because when the gantry goes to that limit, it sits out about another 4 inches or so over the edge of the table. So I thought maybe I'll extend it out. And then I'm going to do a camera mount for my router for my YouTube videos that I do on it to give just a different perspective. That's just something I have to get into Fusion 360 and design and print it out. But not a whole lot of changes I'd make to it. I'm really happy with it. So it's done a good job so far.
Mm-hmm. All righty. Let's click on
now onto the fun ones.
What's that?
Now on to the fun part.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I just now noticed that you got camera mount for a router. Is that for like a GoPro type camera?
No, actually, I have an old iPhone that I was just gonna use that and do kind of like a point of view of the bit, like where it's actually carving.
Yep.
It'll be mounted on there like a dust shoe, but just it'll be a camera mount instead.
I see.
I thought it'd be kind of a cool perspective.
It is. It's a cool perspective. It's funny though. It's not as cool as you might think after you try it, because it's the same thing cutting you, and you can barely see the rest of the table because you're so close. The nicest perspective is a little further away, but then you never know where the one thing that I've done as far as the different camera mounts is, if you mount it, but as long as you have the space, if you mount it, say, a foot or so away, or 18 inches away, so you actually get exactly as you're talking about the bit, but you get a nice big general area so you could see it all coming in and out. That seems to be a good hybrid. Yeah.
Well, I have to do some tests and experiments, and we'll figure something out. It'll just be for my YouTube videos of
looking forward to that.
Shots in and out.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see the PVC spoil board either. I don't know that I've seen anybody do that, so that'll be interesting too. All righty, I don't see any questions over there yet, so we'll just keep moving on. Now we get to the good stuff here.
Yeah, so this is my Raspberry Pi controller in its current configuration. I just put it into this box a couple weeks ago. Prior to that, I just had it mounted to a piece of plywood. The same plywood that is actually in the bottom of the box. I just cut it down now to fit inside there. But so this is my whole setup. I wanted to go with a low cost option because I knew my wife was going to kick me in the face for building a CNC anyway, because she just doesn't understand wanting to make stuff. So I wanted to keep it as low cost as I could. There's no external PC required for it, so I don't have to worry about the parallel ports and all that other stuff, or what have you. It's just it's already there.
You load it in with a USB stick.
Yeah. I just put I do all my files on my regular computer, and then I transfer them on a USB stick and plug it into the Pi.
Yeah, right. I don't know if you can see my cursor, Javi. It looks like his USB stick is sticking out right there. We got a little bigger picture coming up too.
I have the same USB stick. Yeah. Ryan, can you by any chance can you put a network connection on it in case you wanted to?
Oh yeah.
Okay, because I'd love to just be able to control it remotely. I'm just through the internet connection, send it to the USB stick, and then you don't have to bend down. I hate bending down.
Yeah, you can. I actually have it set up now where I can do it with a VNC program to be able to. I can operate the whole thing off my iPad now too. If I want.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's which was the way that I was doing my my jogging of the system before Dave was so kind to choose me as winning the pendant. And I plugged the pendant in and it worked.
Nice.
So I can now actually use a pendant to jog my machine around. So that's actually, you can, it's in that picture, but you can't really see it. It's above that USB stick plugged in. But it does good. But the other thing was in keeping with the low cost of the whole thing, of my whole build, I wanted to be able to use a free software to do all my design work. So I use Easel from Inventables, which is not the greatest thing in the world, but it does get the job done. It cannot do 3D carving, but I haven't needed to do any 3D carving. And the stuff it does for me, you know, I've carved some flags, like doing stars on the flags, and I've done, you know, wedding signs and you know, other random things, and it's doing fine for that.
Yep.
So
yeah, my apologies to Jim Senecola, because he's once again
Covered up.
on the bad spot for when we're screen sharing here and stuff. But we got our first question, Ryan. Tracy wants to know, can you do that with an Android?
Oh, I'm assuming that she's Tracy's talking about the BNC app. Yeah, you can.
Yep.
You can do it with an Android tablet. They have the apps for that too, and you tell the Pi that you have a remote item connected to it, and it does it right away. It's really, really quick and easy to do. It wasn't bad at all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so doing stuff through Inventables with the easel, you know, it keeps my costs down. If I want to do some kind of a V-carve thing, they give you 4 days a month of their Pro package, and I haven't used all of those yet in a month. So when I'm gonna make something that is like V-carved or whatever, I download all the G code anyway and save it to my stick. And then, so I have it, so I can actually run it whenever I want. I don't have to worry about using one of those Pro days or whatever at that point.
Yep.
So it's a good system for me at this point. I'd like to at some point go to doing the, you know, the V-Carve Pro and all that stuff, but I don't need to. I don't need to spend the money on it yet, so I'm not going to.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So are we ready for the next slide here?
Sure.
Okay, I think this one.
Yeah.
And let me see if I can even. Oops, I went the wrong way.
Yeah, you broke it now.
There we go. Okay, I was trying to get this one a little. Well, that's not going to do it either, Dave. Okay, I'll leave it alone. Yeah, now you can get a better. This is a little bigger shot, so you can see the thumb drive over here. It looks
Is
like
that it?
Yeah, I'll let him explain all this, but I can see he's got the thumb drive here and looks like a power strip right here.
Yeah, I have a power strip right attached to the side of it. And then on the opposite side is the power supply.
Mm-hmm.
So when I have my shop, I'm going to actually be mounting the whole thing to a wall. It's all one piece at this point. So it'll just mount right to the wall and not have to worry about anything else. And where the Raspberry Pi is up in the corner, there's a knockout right there in that box, and so I can put the USB drives and all that other stuff in there and plug it right in. I have a cover that actually covers up everything, so it works out pretty good so far.
Well, you notice that the wiring in this picture is much different than the wiring in that picture.
Nice and neat.
Very much so.
But I get it. I mean, I get it. You're going to move it to your shop, so it's easier to do that. You know, why put the drag chain and all that stuff on there until you get it where it's going? So I totally get that. Just trying to poke a little fun at you there, Ryan.
That's awesome.
Hey, Dave. Does the magnifier
Yes.
work if you turn it on? If you put the magnifier
let's
on?
play with it. I think it will. Oh, yeah. There we go. So here's his thumb drive. Let's see what else I need to see in here. I guess, is that labels you have on the
I started to put labels on them and then just decided not to do them.
Okay, so I guess it's just X, Y, Z, and A or something.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, this is a really neat. Well, if I can quit moving the wrong button here. This is a really neat little setup. I like it because it's compact. And just, there's just not much to it. It's really small, so I like that.
Yeah, it's
Ryan.
a 14-inch communications box from Home Depot. So if you go back into their where all the cable stuff is and all that, it's a 14-inch wide box. It could actually have been smaller if this box would have been a little bit deeper, because I couldn't
you could
stand
put them straight up.
the drivers up. Yeah. So I mean, if it had been like another 2 inches deeper, I could have fit everything inside that box easily.
And Ryan, I don't know if you can answer the question or not, but Rick is asking why he's getting an intermediate alarm of low power on his Raspberry Pi.
Low power. It might be the wall work that he's using. It might not be have enough amperage in it. I think mine is like a 2.4 amp one.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's
Now-
I would I think it's probably the wall wart is just not very good and is wearing out or something like that. So I would upgrade that to a.
Well, I was looking again at the Raspberry Pis on Amazon, and I noticed they have some of those kits come with a little wall wart power supply that I guess they're recommending.
Yeah, that's the bottom wart on the if you look at the my power strip, that's the plug actually for my Raspberry Pi.
I don't know how good they are, but you can get them for $8 from China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Raspberry Pi. It's incredible.
Well,
Kevin's got a question here.
Versions of it too.
Yeah. Kevin wants to know if you made the enclosure.
That's a purchased enclosure.
Okay.
And
Let's see here.
It's like a 14-inch box from Home Depot.
Okay. Keith Allen wants to know the size of the power supply.
On mine, you can do 12, 24, 36, 48 volts, whatever you really want, because I'm using external drivers on mine. There's actually a way, and I want to try it, that you can do onboard drivers on the Raspberry Pi. So you could eliminate all four of those big giant drivers and run small ones that are mounted to the Pi. The downside to that is that they can only be up to 2 amps.
Yeah, they won't run the 24s. They'll have to be 17s.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I mean,
Still,
it would be for a smaller CNC. You could do it right there, right on there, and they're only a couple bucks a piece. So you could have the whole controller set up for under $50.
Yeah.
Basically.
Which hat are you using? Jerry's asking.
I'm using the Pro Denier CNC hat.
Right.
So he lives in, I think, like the where out by Peter Pasquello. Where am I thinking of? New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where the guy that makes them is from. And it's been a pretty solid unit so far. No, I have no fan. I've never had any cooling problems with this whole setup or anything. Running cars for several hours, my drivers don't even get warm. So I don't run any fan at all.
And the CNC motion control software is basically
what I'm using to run my G code is I'm using BCNC.
BCNC.
Which again is free. It's an open source Gerbil version of it, and it's been doing good. It's a nice look to it. It's pretty simple. You can set up a bunch of buttons to do whatever you want, like probing or whatever, homing functions or whatever. So it's again, it's kind of basic, much more basic than what you can do in Mach 3. But if your needs aren't everything that Mach 3 can do, it's fine.
No, did you say, is it VCNC? Is that
VNC? No, the VNC is what I use to be able to do a remote. It's some sort of remote desktop app.
okay? So VCNC is
B is in boy.
okay.
CNC is the.
While we're talking about that, when I posted the stuff on Facebook, Rob Schuster said he wasn't going to be able to watch the show live tonight, but he asked me to ask you this question or see if he says, have Ryan explain how to install BCNC on the Pi.
Yeah. Good question.
It's actually really simple because there's a when you get the hat for the CNC hat for the Pi, it's already loaded on it. But you can go to GitHub. You go into the command prompts of the Raspberry Pi, and you go to GitHub, and it'll download BCNC right there as well. So it's a very simple installation of it. Yeah, I figured it out.
So is it like flashing a thing, or?
Yeah, essentially, yeah. It flashes right on there and downloads it right to the Pi and puts an icon right on the desktop, and you're off and running.
Okay. Now, again, for some of these guys like me that are totally new to this stuff, looking at this picture here, I'm trying to see where it's at. Somewhere on here, there's a place to plug in just a monitor, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's on where is it at? Oh, it's underneath of the 4 axes that are coming out the bottom of the
Okay, so it's up underneath here, I guess.
Yep, it's underneath there. It's an HDMI port that you just plug right into.
Okay, and will this support touch screens?
I use it on my with my iPad. I can do the touchscreen on there.
Okay.
My monitor technically is a touchscreen, but it doesn't. It's an old computer that doesn't work anymore, and so I don't know if you could use it with a standard touchscreen. But I don't see why not. It should be fine.
Yeah, there's their regular keyboard input on the standard touchscreens.
Yeah,
should be able to just plug it in.
Keith had a question. He says, "Is this all mounted on wood inside the enclosure, or is that a heat sink?" It's just
it's a piece of plywood.
Okay.
That's just mounted to the back of the board, or back of the box rather.
And now, if you use VCarve, basically your toolpath setting would be either Gerbil in millimeters or inches, and that's it. And just save it to the USB and copy it over. It's that simple, huh?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's I think was it Rick Palicki was having an issue the other day trying to get VCarve to save a file properly for the Pi, but it should just be.
Did he choose the Gerbil toolpath? I mean, yeah, the profile. Because they have
that one. And he also, I think, Dave, didn't he do like just the Mach 3 one or something like that? I can't remember. If he's still out in the chat, he'd be able to tell us. But
okay, because I know that VCarve has, well, they've got more controllers, more profiles than you can shake a stick at. But But they have Gerbil in millimeters and inches, so
Yeah, and those should work fine, either way.
Yeah, we got some crackle in somebody's mic. I don't know who it is.
not me. I'm USB.
I tried muting Jim to see if it was him, but I could still hear it after muting him. So I think let's try muting him and see. Yeah, I still hear it, so it's not him.
Thanks.
I don't know who it is.
No, I've been muted and I still hear the crackle.
Maybe it's Ryan. We can't mute him though.
I don't know.
Actually, I've had my mic muted here at the mic.
Okay.
I don't think it's.
Yeah. I don't know where that's coming from. All right, we'll keep if we can figure out where that's coming from. Todd has a question. He says, "Is that all that is on the Pi for software to run the CNC?" That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, it's really simple. What you get with the CNC hat, it has a few different. It has B CNC. It also has UGS on it, and it also has CNCJS.js on it as well. So it's got a bunch of them that you can use or try. I just like the B CNC one the best out of them.
Barry says, "Am I the only one that this is so over my head? It's not even funny." No, you're not the only one. I don't know anything either.
But the funny part is, it's really like I figured it out, and there's not a whole lot of support out there for the Raspberry Pi CNC. And I figured it out, and I got it to work like right away. It's really not bad. Like when you look at it, it's not a difficult setup to get in there and get done. It's kind of funny that I'm really not an expert on Raspberry Pi. It was that easy to do.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know where. I'm not hearing it now, so I don't know. I just hear it once in a while. I'm not even sure what it is.
Same here.
To me, you know what it sounds like to me?
Typing.
It sounds like a dog chewing on something.
Oh.
But mine's sitting right here asleep. He's not making a sound, so.
Mine's laying down, or he was.
Yeah, he was. All righty, let's see. We got Mike Kaichu. It says, "Can I run it on a rotary and do 3D?"
You should be able to do 3D because it's 3D. The G code is just in 3D. I don't know anybody that has done a rotary with it yet, but it would be fun to try. I'm wondering if the crackling is my.
Yeah, I just noticed when you moved it, it crackled a bit more. It might be you, but we can live with that.
I think I had it sitting on top. I'm out in my garage, if you can't tell, and I had my phone sitting on the on my freezer, so I'll move away from there.
Yeah,
see if it helps out.
I don't hear it now. If you moved your phone, that might have been it. Dave Matthews asked, "Are you running Pi 2 or Pi 3?"
I have a Pi 3.
Okay.
Right now. They have a Pi 4 out now, but I don't have one to play with or see if how well it works.
Well, I was again, I don't know much about these things, but I was watching some YouTube videos the other day, as I do a lot these days, and I ran across the Pi 4, and I guess it's been around a little while, but it's still kind of new. and there was a guy doing a video comparing the Pi 3 versus the Pi 4. And it's my understanding the Pi 3 has like 1 gig, the Pi 4 has 4 gig, but the way they did the Pi 4, all the connections and everything are switched around so that if you had a case for a Pi 3, it won't work with a Pi 4. You got to buy a whole new case or print one or whatever. So
that's pretty much how it was when they went from the first Pi to the second and into the third. It's just like everything else. You got to have new cases for a new product.
Yeah.
Kevin has set you up for the next section. What money do you have in your Pi setup?
This is the good part. Not much compared to some of the other options that are out there. So, Dave, if you want to flip to the next page, we can go over how much everything was costing. So this is my particular setup. You can spend more money on or different money on things. This is just how I decided to do mine. So the Raspberry Pi, you can get them on eBay for $30. The Protoneer CNC hat is on eBay is $32.50, and because I'm running up external drivers. You have to get there's little boards that cover up where the drivers go on the hat, and convert it to an external driver. Those are $5. So pretty easy to get done. The power supply I went with was a little bit different than what I think most people go with. I went with 48 volts and a 500 watt one. So it's a total can do up to 10 amps. I don't think I'm anywhere close to pushing it even to that much though. And got that stuff from Stepper Motors Online, or whatever that website is. My drivers, current price on that driver shipped from their U.S. Warehouse is $37.17. You need 4 of them. And the motors that I used the 420 ounce motors, and they're $36 right now. So altogether, my whole cost of the entire system was like $419. But if you just look at the controller itself, it's $274.
Yeah.
So,
Hey
really
Ryan, what kind of documentation is available to build a system like this?
Protoneer has a wiki page for some of it. It gives you some generalizations. They also do have a website or forum that honestly there's not a whole lot of information on it. And then a couple months ago I started up a Facebook group to try to help with the Raspberry Pi stuff. And so there's not a whole lot of documentation out there on it, and that's kind of a shame. But I'm trying to help out with that and be able to show people it's a lot easier than what you might think.
Yeah. Well, let me ask a question here real quick. What from the original Pi, I don't know what was a Pi 1 or whatever, how long ago was that? What are we talking in terms of time between the Pi 1 and the new Pi 4 that just come out recently? They've been around quite a while, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. I mean, it's 7 or 8 years, I think, at least, from when the first ones came out. Okay. It's like every year and a half, 2 years, they come out with a new one.
And looking at these prices, and I'm asking this for a reason, but looking at these prices on your sheet here, this would be an extremely good option for somebody who was trying to build something small with maybe NEMA 17s or very small NEMA 23s.
Oh, yeah.
You could do it really cheaper, probably cheaper than you could do anything else, I guess.
Oh yes, most definitely. If you're using like a NEMA 17, like maybe for a CNC that was sent from overseas that never sent anything else correctly.
Yeah. Well, this little Go CNC that I used the other night, that's what it's got on it. Those little NEMA 17s.
Yeah.
Baby motors.
Yeah, you could use the onboard drivers for the thing and have $100 into the whole setup and be off and running.
Jeremiah's on Johnny on the spot here. He looked it up and says Wikipedia has Pi starting in 2012. So
I was just on the page now. 2012, 2015 for the 2, 18 for the 3, and 2019 obviously for the 4.
Yeah,
and with a few variations in between.
Yeah. Rick Pilecki says, I watched Ryan's YouTube videos and built my system right away. Had one issue, but that was Protonier's fault. All right.
Thankfully, it wasn't my fault.
And Rick, since you're commenting there, are you pretty happy with yours now that you've had it going for a while? I believe that was the last slide, wasn't it, Ryan?
Yeah, that's the last one that I threw out there for you.
Okay.
But you could do things to even save. I think some of the 420 ounce motors that we use on a lot of them, they might be oversized by a bit. If you went down to like a 269 ounce motor,
yep.
You're going to save another $40 on top of that. So there's even some more savings that you could probably do further than what even I was able to do it for.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with Keith Allen here. He says, I think this is a wonderful next step in the CNC world. The need for full-time computer is no longer needed. Yeah, yep. I just like it because it's a little tiny. I mean, I think I would still do the external drivers like you got the 542Ts, I think is what you used.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's still a great price. Even at 420, to me, that's a great price for getting something like that going. Let's see. I thought I saw some other comments or questions on here. Where'd it go?
Yeah, Gareth was saying, so the Pi replaces a computer and external breakout board. Anything else? Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, it has outputs for spindle control, for coolant, for probes, for end stops. It has a section where you can do the emergency stop, pause or resume. It has lines out for all that stuff already built right into the board.
Yeah, we need to.
It's like this is a miniature NASDAQ.
Say that again.
It sounds to me like it's a miniature Masso, almost.
Yeah, kind of is. I mean, but the nice thing about it too is that if the Pi ever dies on you because it's a $30 computer, it's a $30 computer. You can just plug another one in, and you're going to be fine. Get up and running again.
Yep.
Yeah, we got Keith Allen asking for a link to Ryan's YouTube video. We'll see if we can get that for you, Keith.
I'll get you that on there.
Prepared to be disappointed, Keith.
He also wants to know about homing. Can you put the limit switches and all that on it too?
Yeah. They're already wired up onto the board, or there's outputs on the board right for them, so you can plug them right down in.
Yeah, RC Electric Flyer says, what inputs do you use for e-stop?
It's right on the board. I don't use it, but there's outputs right there on the board. If you're looking at the picture of the if you go back to that shows my whole setup, Dave, it's it's in that line of outputs that are north south instead of the ones on the bottom that go to the drivers. If we can.
Okay, so this one here.
Yeah, right up in there. That's where.
So this is your 4-axis, I guess, right here, correct?
Exactly.
And then back here is where you would have your different inputs and outputs.
Right.
All right.
The maximum axes you can have is 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a spot on the back of the board that you can clone whatever axis that you want, if you want, to mimic one of the other ones. So with my setup, I cloned the Y axis, so I have 2 of them on the Y, and it does good with that.
Yeah, I'm assuming you could use a wireless keyboard for a pen.
Yeah, I have a wireless keyboard plugged into it, and then I also I can actually control it 3 different ways, or 4 different ways. I can control it with my Mach 3 pendant. I can control it with an iPad. I can control it with a mouse or keyboard. So it's you can use whatever you want really to get in there and move it all around.
Yeah, here we've got that dreaded feed rate question. It usually comes up whenever we're talking CNC stuff. I mean, as far as the Raspberry Pi wouldn't have any limitation on your feed rate. It'd be whatever you would normally cut with any controller, I would guess.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it chews through the G code as fast as it can get it. So
yeah,
I typically set my stuff up to run about 60 inches a minute, and then in BCNC I manipulate the feed rate there and kick it up or kick it down.
So you can adjust it on the fly just like you would with Mach 3 or CNC. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, those are pretty neat because they're basically a little computer. And I noticed too when I was looking on Amazon the other day, there's a lot of smaller monitors that are made, I think with the Raspberry Pi in mind.
Yeah.
Because if you're going with something small, you can keep everything small and use that small. In fact, I think they even had touchscreens, like 8-inch or something.
Yeah. There's some small touchscreens that people make just for the Pis, because they use these things for all kinds of stuff. They'll make retro gaming systems with them and all kinds of other stuff. So it does a great job for what it needs to do.
Yeah, Javi's. Thank you, Javi. He's added the link to his Ryan's Raspberry Pi build, part 1 and part 2. So thank you, Javi, for.
Yeah, Amazon's got a 7-inch LCD touchscreen for Raspberry Pi for $14.86, $15. I mean, and they range everything up to a full screen for $65 and $80. All different sizes.
And this makes me think of a question, because I know before, when you buy the Protoneer, that stuff comes and you had to solder it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Has anything changed in the last year? Can you buy that already ready to go, or do you still have to buy that and solder it yourself?
I don't think so. I think it still comes where you have to solder those external driver boards yourself. I don't think they come already done. I'd have to ask one of the people that have recently been purchased it and building it up. There's a guy named Lobo Murphy. I don't know if he's out there in the chat or not, but he I know he was just getting his up and running, and so I don't know if it does come that way still or not. But yeah, it was fun to learn how to solder on it.
Yeah. Javi, if you still have that Amazon open, Keith Allen is wanting the link for the 14-inch screen.
Oh, sure.
That's what you were looking at.
I will put it up right now.
Awesome. All righty.
That was just a general. Oh, I can't. It's more characters than I'm allowed to place. But what we'll do. Who is it? Keith was asking.
Keith Allen, yes.
Well, for it was a 7-inch screen for 14 and change. And I don't know. I'll send it to Dave, and he'll put a link on his page tomorrow, if anything, because I don't have. I have limited number of characters. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, okay. Harry's Place says, do you run the G code directly off the USB or do you download it to the Pi?
I transfer it over to the Pi. You probably could do it directly off the stick itself, but I just throw it on my desktop of the Pi and run it from there.
That's. I mean, you can do that with Mach 3 too. If you really wanted to, you could run it off the stick. But I always recommend people to move it over and run it that way. That way, you rule out that possible issue coming up. So. All right. Do we have any other questions for Ryan here on the Raspberry Pi thing?
I just saw the mouse.
And you don't mean one of these.
No, little furry one. Earlier, I have a trash bag out here that I was cleaning up the garage with, and I guess it was in the trash bag. And right before we went live, and then I just saw him running across the floor. The dog can care less. He's just laying here.
Harry's asking if you can send the G code with Wi-Fi, or he's confirming.
I would assume you could. I haven't, but I would assume that you could.
Yeah, there's Wi-Fi available on the Pi, correct?
Yeah.
Now, one thing I have always been a proponent for being hardwired as far as when it comes to a controller, any controller. And so off the USB stick, off internal memory is one thing. If you're running G code off Wi-Fi or off Ethernet, I wouldn't do it personally. I would always transfer the entire G code to the onboard memory or to the memory stick, because when it comes to Wi-Fi, there's interference. When it comes to Ethernet, there's collisions. And all you need is just one pause longer than what's called for, and your whole run will crash. It's happened to me on this machine. It's happened on the Gatton. It's some people are lucky they don't have that problem, but the more stuff you have on it.
Yeah, it's
stay away from running G code.
Always best. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Hardwired is always the best if you can do it. All right. Well, I guess I don't see any other questions over there. Let's see. We got one more here.
What do I use in place of VCarve? I use Easel, the free design software from Inventables, the makers of the Xcarve.
Okay, Dave Matthews, I think, just cleared up the question. He says Pi 3 needs a Wi-Fi dongle. Yeah, I think it's equipped Yeah, I think he's right. It's equipped for that, but you still got to get something else. But the Pi 4 has got it built in, I think. So
Well, no, my Pi 3 has Wi-Fi on it.
okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. But now, getting back to this question, you use Easel just because you don't have VCarve Pro.
Right.
If you had it, you would still just post your G code and load that straight in off that stick, right? So
Exactly. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I want to make sure we don't leave anybody hanging with any questions that I may have missed. Jack should be able to map the drive on the Pi so the computer can see it in a folder. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, people use these Pis to do so many different things. Some people use them for stashing a micro server in their house and stuff like that. So yeah, you can access the Pi and drop stuff in on it from other computers in your house if you want to. You just have to set it up for it.
Yeah.
How do you calibrate the machine with the Pi? I imagine the software has calibration in it.
CNC does not. But what I did is I would just go in and change the values in Gerbil until I got it to be what I needed it to be. Which, if you're running a Gatton, I can give you my baseline, and that should get you really close. And then you just have to, because something might be slightly different. And
so 0 is always. Well, what do? You start it at a specific point, no matter what?
Well, no, I'm sorry. I was thinking about like distances and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's two versions of calibrations, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So for 0, what do you do?
Just wherever I'm putting my piece on is where I go, bring the machine there and I zero it out, and then start it.
Gotcha.
Cut, measure, then change. Yep. Yeah. So that's exactly what
There's probably a little more to it, because Mach 3 pretty much does it for you when you put in the values. But here you'd have to probably play around with it a little bit to get it.
Yeah. It was a little like I made a file up that for doing a square with a circle inside of it to make sure that X and Y were doing what they're supposed to do. And then I did a depth test for my Z-axis and just went down, 0.06, 0.12, and went all the way down to, like 3/4 of an inch and tested it in there to see how close I was. So it's I was able to get it pretty close, like, without much trouble.
Yeah, Donald says there's a config file. BCNC has a config file to set it up.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I didn't use it, but I wouldn't doubt that it does.
Does the triple edge finder work?
That I don't know.
You probably have to create a program for that.
You might, yeah. You probably would just have to. There's buttons in BCNC that you can set up to do whatever you want it to do, and that's how I set up my my probe. And so, as long as you have the triple edge
what the inputs are,
code is, yeah, you should be able to input that, and it should work.
Yeah.
They haven't sent me one, so I haven't been able to try that.
Hint, hint, hint.
I will definitely give it a try to see if it works.
Yeah. All right.
I was expecting to send that Mach 3 pendant to somebody else because I had no hope that was going to actually work, and that it actually started immediately jogging the machine without me doing anything besides plugging it in. Just blew my mind.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I mean, I was happy to send it to you, but then once I remembered that you're using Pi, I'm like, I bet he won't even be able to use it,
Yeah.
But I'm happy that, when you posted it would move. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's my new favorite toy. It's really funny though, because some of the buttons do different things, and they're really weird things. I shot a really quick video of me just pushing the different buttons and seeing what they did. One of them was changing the view. Instead of like having an XY view in BCNC, it was changing it to like an ISO view of the project. It would randomly, some of the other buttons were just changing really odd things, even though it had nothing to do with what the button was saying. But pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barry's saying call Bill Griggs and see if you can get him to send you one.
Well, it wouldn't hurt to message
Reach
Bill
out.
Griggs and find out if anybody else is using one of those with a Raspberry Pi, and if not, volunteer to be the beta tester.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sure it can probably be done. Greg Hamilton says, Dave, I'm putting the leftover Raspberry Pi in the fridge to have with coffee next time you broadcast, which brings me to a shameless plug here. I have started doing for those of you who only watch this show and haven't seen the other thing, where did I put it here? I have started doing a weekday live stream every morning at 9 a.m. We just started it this past Wednesday, and I call it the coffee sessions because it's basically me just drinking usually by that time I'm on my second cup of coffee, and I just go live and we see who comes and hangs out with us. Hobby's hung out with me before. Mark Lindsay has hung out some, and Zach Mannering, and anybody that wants to come on, I'll send them a link and they can come and we can talk CNC, we can talk the weather, we can talk whatever. It's a wide open thing. It's just something for me to do while I drink my coffee, basically, because as I said on that first one, I got to get away from the news. The news these days is just too crazy, so I decided I'd do something better than sitting around watching the news while I drink my coffee. So yeah, there's my shameless plug for the coffee sessions. Again, it's every weekday at 9 a.m. Unless we have technical difficulties like we had yesterday. But I think we got those straightened out. All right. I also want to mention too, I got to wrap up some stuff here real quick.
Speaking of technical difficulties, did we lose Jim?
No.
He's back. He's back here.
There it is.
I also want to mention this will be the fourth annual. Yeah, I think this is the fourth year. Dave Gatton CNC Christmas Challenge.
Yes.
It officially kicks off on Black Friday, which is the day after Thanksgiving, which in this year will be November 29th, and then runs right up until midnight Christmas Eve. So you guys know the drill. You shoot a video using your CNC to make a Christmas themed project. And of course, the more you can tell us about it in the video, the better. And then I'll be rounding up some sponsors. I'm going ahead and talking about it again now because, we're already into October. Before, we blink an eye and it'll be Thanksgiving. So that way you can get an early start. We had, 16 or 17 entries. We have about that same amount every year, I think. But I'll be hitting up some sponsors, usually Rockler and Klingspor and those kind of folks usually help me out with some prizes. So we'll do that. And let's see what else I got. I had a bunch of notes here. I got to look to make sure I don't forget anything. One more thing. I found a box. I've got some of these GarageWorks CNC hats. I've also got some, actually quite a few GarageWorks CNC t-shirts like this. I have them in black, and I also have the orange with the black lettering. So I'm going to be doing some giveaways on some of this stuff because it's just sitting around in my house getting in the way. So, and you know how I like to do giveaways anyway. So for next week, we'll do a live drawing for this hat. And by the way, speaking of live drawings, I didn't mention this earlier, where we're going to be doing the license plate guitar giveaway. The next one will be 2 weeks from today. So if you haven't entered that, and I know a lot of people haven't because I didn't do a show last week, so I didn't know about it. But there's a link below if you want to enter the drawing for that license plate guitar. And anyway, for the hat next week, either in the comment section, not the chat comment section on YouTube, but the comment section once it becomes a video, or if you're watching on Facebook, which I know there's a handful of folks watching on Facebook, put this in the comment section. And remember, no spaces, just like that, because I do the search and it has to be like that with no spaces for me to find your comment. So put hashtag GarageWorks CNC hat, and I will be doing a live drawing next week for one of these hats. And who knows, I may do more than one drawing. I may just keep spinning the wheel till I'll go see how many hats I got. I may just spin it till they're gone. And then we'll work on some t-shirts or something. So anyway, do that. And now we got one last thing to do. Earlier at the beginning of the show, I showed the pictures here of the entries that we had for the ridiculous stepper motor knob challenge. And I have to say, all 4 people that we had 6 entries, but four different people, and all of them did a great job. They were all pretty ridiculous. This was, we'll go through them again. This was Mike Haichu. He did the snowman, the first one. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. Or if you haven't seen any of these videos, go check them out. There's a link to the playlist down in the description. But that one was just hilarious right there. This one's from Harry Vaughn Sr. He 3D printed this. It's got a little pistol right here, handgun or whatever you want to call it. And it says, "Make my day." And that worked as a knob on his Z-axis. This one was by Jerry Coleman. It's like crank handle, and when you turn the crank, this like shoots like little mini lightning bolts or something. I don't really know how to describe it. You'd have to watch the video to see it. This one was by Jeremiah Brown or Jerry Brown from Polygon Crafter. And again, it's 3D printed, and it says Gatton's beverage holder on the side. So I'm surprised there's a Coke in there, though. I would think there might be something a little
more alcoholic.
Yeah. This is another one, the second entry by Mike Haichu, and he has the little man. And again, when you see this move in the video, it looks like this little wooden guy is cranking the axis up and down. So that one was pretty funny as well. And then finally, he went and put a couple of a gear here on the shaft of the Z-axis stepper, and then another gear here that meshes and it turns a Ferris wheel. So very cool. Again, thanks to all 4 people that took the time to send in an entry. I appreciate it. When I did that challenge, I thought, well, there's probably not going to be that many people do it just because it's ridiculous. But then you never know. So, but anyway, the grand prize winner of the $100 winner take all thing is Mike Haichu. He went above and beyond with all 3 of his entries there. All 3 of them are great, all functional, just like they're supposed to be. But this one right here that I'm showing now, really, let me see if I can zoom that in a little bit. Yes, this one really, really
It's really
sealed the deal, I think, because he got all this on his CNC and just it turned out really good. So congratulations to Mike Haichu. I'm pretty sure he was out there watching earlier.
Yep.
This really wasn't there he is. This really wasn't you got to be watching to win thing. This was more of a, just getting out there and doing it. And like I said, I appreciate everybody got out there and did it. Jerry's said he had a couple other ideas, but the time is rare. And I know Jerry's a busy guy. If you follow him on Facebook, he's in production mode most of the time. So I'm surprised he got one entry in, much less anymore. So
we got a last minute.
Jerry said he was keeping it PG-13. So.
Ryan, I got a last minute question from Ernest Sanford. He wants to know if you can get G code from easel to Mach 3. You don't have.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could transfer Mach easel G.
Yeah.
Well, probably not. Well, probably no, because it's it's a different.
Yeah, Mach 3 is a PC program, so most likely not. And Raspberry Pi doesn't run Mach 3, so as far as we know.
Yeah, I guess it would just depend on what the code looks like. Because if it just if the easel spits out just a basic G code, it would probably work in Mach 3.
Yeah, you could just copy and paste it.
Yeah. I don't know. I can send somebody a file.
Yeah.
You could try it out.
Well, even if easel is tap, the tap is just an extension. You can Mach 3 will run a tap. It'll run a .text, .tap, .cnc, .cn. It doesn't matter what the dot is. It's just a text file. It will work in Mach 3. And if it doesn't, all you got to do is change the extension. Then it will work. So, all right. I don't think we've got any more questions. Not that I had the comments off here. Remember, though, if you want to get entered to win or get in the drawing for the hat, put it there. And remember, Keith, it's got to be in the comment section on YouTube, because if you put it here and I do the search, it doesn't find it in the live chat. It only finds it on the comment. On Facebook, it's different. It will find it even in the video, which for them is the live chat, I guess. But anyhow, make sure you get that in. I guess that's all I've got. Checking my notes here. I don't see anything else. I think I've plugged myself enough. So anyhow, thank you, Ryan, so much for now I gotta go find it when I pull it off. There it is. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and explaining once again the Raspberry Pi thing. I almost pulled the trigger on one this week, but I figured I'd wait until after we talk tonight so I can see what I need to get fresh in my head again. Because I'm wanting to play around with that stuff. Another thing I've always wanted to do, and I know the Pis are perfect for that, is build a little small gaming thing. I know that a lot of them use the Pis for those gaming console things.
Yep.
The old school Pac-Man and stuff like that.
Retro Pi.
That's my next project.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be able to play in the modern stuff, but all that old Pac-Man stuff, I used to wear that out at well, never mind where it was.
Arcade.
Yeah, well, this place wasn't an arcade. This was a saloon, and they had the Pac-Man things where it was like a table, and then you had the glass or plexiglass or whatever, and then you reached your hand under for the joystick, and you can set your beer right on top of the table and play Pac-Man. So I've dropped a few quarters there many years ago. But
And once in a while, a quarter got into the machine.
Yeah. So, all right. I guess we're going to get out of here. I'm trying to keep these things shorter. We're still at 9:20. So thanks everybody that tuned in and watched both on YouTube, Facebook. Again, I don't think we have anybody on Twitch or Periscope, but that's okay. Somebody will stumble across them one day. So thanks to y'all that tuned in and watched. I appreciate it. If you're so inclined, feel free to leave a thumbs up on the way out or a like on Facebook or whatever it is you guys do these days. And thank you, Jim Sinicola. Glad you were able to get the Chrome deal straightened out and make it in here. Thank you, Javi, for being my, I guess, kind of a co-host. You're good at putting the links and stuff in there, so thank you so much for that. And again, thank you, Ryan Ballard, for joining us tonight. And that's going to about do it for this one. We'll put this one in the books. And remember, guys, you don't have to leave. We'll be right back after the outro. So good night, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Good night.